As the nights get longer and leaves start falling, setting up your Halloween movie marathon is prime time. If haunted houses are your jam, you can't miss the Amityville Horror. The whole Amityville hype comes from some real-life nightmare fuel. On November 13th, 1974, a gruesome murder rocked the house in Amityville, New York. A year later, new owners bounced after just 28 days of creepy hauntings. To get the full chills during your Amityville binge, a bunch of them are on Peacock. You gotta dive into the true story that started it all. Get ready for a spine-tingling ride that blurs the lines between reality and nightmare. The DeFeo Murders. A first-time murder. On the evening of November 13th, 1974, a terrible catastrophe shattered the tranquility of Amityville, a suburban hamlet. The people of the village had been at peace. 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr., a troubled young man at the time, committed a crime so heinous that it would always mark the memory of the house, situated at 112 Ocean Avenue. DeFeo equipped himself with a Marlin rifle with a caliber of .35 and started to march through his family's house, room by room, killing his parents and 4 younger siblings as they were sleeping in the dark of night. Ronald Sr. and his wife, Louise DeFeo, and their 4 children, 18-year-old Dawn, 13-year-old Allison, 12-year-old Mark, and 9-year-old John Matthew, all slept in their beds with their faces down, with no idea of impending doom. It appears that what makes the act of murder even more heinous is that it was carried out in a very calm and deliberate, non-passionate manner. DeFeo ensured that none of the family members could survive the gunshot. Night fell. Darkness covered the area, and the previous commotion of shooting weapons subsided. Strangely, none of the neighbors complained about hearing rounds fired at night. It wasn't long until Ronald DeFeo Jr. went to a neighboring pub and said that his family had been murdered. He was panicked. Thus, the subsequent inquiry revealed all of the grisly details of the massacre, and DeFeo was arrested immediately. His case was the topic of a widely publicized trial across the country, in which he defended himself by claiming that he was mad at the time of the crime and that voices in his head forced him to commit it. He said that they were very assertive and aggressive, forcing him to endanger his family's lives. Officially, what happened in the DeFeo family was categorized as murder. Thus, the house was dark and full of evil, and everything the Lutz family endured took place there. The Lutz family. Enter the paranormal. Less than a year later, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, moved into the house at 112 Ocean Avenue. Of course, they were aware of the horrific events that occurred there, but the house was inexpensive, and they believed they could transform it into a happy place. It is important to note that they were about to become part of the film, which was absolutely unbelievable and made them question their sanity. In this film, the Lutz family has moved into their new home, and it is immediately evident that the house's spirit is evil. George Lutz, a pragmatic man by nature, found himself waking up at 3 a.m., the exact time the DeFeo murders had occurred. Things were only going to get worse for them, and this marked the conclusion of this phase of the journey. The mansion appears to take on a life of its own, threatening the family with horrific crimes. Noises from the teenagers, the doors creaked as they closed on their own. The atmosphere was strangely frigid. There was the stink of death that no amount of cleaning could remove from the house or the memories of those who lived there. Kathy Lutz went to bed with the dreams filled with murders and frequently awoke screaming, sensing the DeFeo's anguish. She once slept and awoke in the dead of night dangling from the bed, unable to move because she was possessed. Every day seems to bring a new and increasing level of haunting. A disgusting green slime was sliding down the walls and keyholes and could not be accounted for. Houses become the character's major focus, and George behaves more like an animal, sometimes brutally. Finally, there was the dead, insensate expression. He sat in his chair, faced the fireplace, and gazed into the flames as if charmed. He became ill, and there were times when he went into complete isolation. He then began speaking in tongues, and his strength was not human-like. The children were not left out, as they also suffered from various aspects of the evil. It all started with their young daughter, Missy, who refers to her imaginary buddy, Jody, as a nasty pig-like creature with red, shining eyes. She gets increasingly confident, believing that Jody will appear to her as a spirit and tell her unpleasant things. The girl feels afraid in her little heart. This monster was never far away. Its red eyes would follow the youngsters into the darkness, reminding everyone in the house of the type of entity they were dealing with. Escalation and escape. The Lutz family's case got increasingly terrible and violent. They reported seeing objects lift off the floor, doors close themselves, and loud voices say, "Escape." George became violent, claiming he was being influenced by evil spirits that wanted him to harm someone. Kathy once floated out of bed and had red welts on her chest, implying that she had been physically attacked by someone with supernatural abilities. Only 28 days after settling into this historic property, the Lutz family fled in the middle of the night, leaving most of their possessions behind. They both believed that an evil power had chased them away, and they never returned to that house. The family's harrowing experience was eventually recounted in Jay Anson's book, The Amityville Horror, which went on to become a bestseller, indicating that the story had entered popular culture. Skepticism and controversy. Though Lutz's stories appear to be made up, they have received a lot of support. Skeptics have often pointed out that it is a work of fiction that was created and distributed with the primary goal of making money. It is believed that a genuine occurrence of the events described in Jay Anson's book has been accepted by some, only to be rejected by others due to shading discrepancies and hyperbole. Subsequent court actions were started, including one in which Ronald DeFeo Jr., his former lawyer, William Weber, said that the Lutzes and he cooked up the narrative while under the influence of many wines. Weber accused them of fabricating the horrific story in order to profit from the celebrity associated with the property and the deaths. No further examinations of the residence have yielded clear evidence of paranormal activity. Since the Lutzes, others have asserted that there is no paranormal activity, implying that the entire event was an invention of the Lutzes or a case of poltergeist activity experienced just by them, Amityville Horror, and the Dark Heritage. However, it is impossible to deny that an agent from the Amityville Horror is a part of American culture. 112 Ocean Avenue has become well known due to the horror stories of haunted homes that have been written about, filmed, and portrayed on film. The 1979 film Amityville Horror established a new standard for successful horror films, which was expanded by sequels and remakes. The story's ideas are extremely thought-provoking, particularly in terms of comprehending what fear is and how beliefs influence behavior. While it is debatable whether the haunting of the house was genuine or imagined, the story of the Lutz family demonstrates how stress, anxiety, and suggestion can reach a fascinating space between physical reality and an individual's perspective or hallucination. These are psychological processes that can transform existence in a property with such a deadly history into a living nightmare, with every stage and corner appearing to come alive. The paranormal and media spotlight. After the Lutz family left their home, it became quite popular, as investigators and interested parties observed it and attempted to get information for newspapers and television. The paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren, who inspected the property, provided comprehensive testimonies of the strong and demonic spirits present. They had seances, snapped photographs, and captured what is now widely regarded as one of the most famous ghost photos of all time. Boy in the doorway. However, opponents have contended that such findings were difficult to interpret and most likely manipulated. The future of the house and its current owners. Because the Lutz family moved out, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue has been moved several times since then. In the years since, no paranormal activity has been recorded by the new owners, and many of them have tried to avoid thinking about the property's history. Renovations, changes to the house's appearance, and even changing the address are all done to keep nosy people away and give the residents privacy. The story of the Amityville Horror still exists, even though these steps have been taken. The home is still a popular subject for people who are interested in the supernatural, and it has been used as an inspiration for many books, films, and TV shows. The story serves as a warning of how powerful urban legends are and how much people are interested in the supernatural. If you have liked the video, please do like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories.